Buddy. Ha. Happy heat wave. We are so excited to be with, I'm excited to be with you all this morning. I don't know. How about we stand up, if you would, please? We got plenty of room for dancing so far. I'd encourage you to welcome other friends as they're coming in, and I could use a little clapping help on this one, okay? This one is called "Remind Me Who I Am," and I don't know about you, but I could use some of those reminders, and that's part of what we get to offer each other today. All right. Clap right along with that. Woo. When I lose my way and I forget my name, remind me who I am. In the mirror all I see is who I don't want to be. Remind me who I am. In the loneliest places, can't remember what grace is. Tell me once again who I am to you, who I am to you. Oh, tell me lest I forget who I am to you. I belong to you. My heart is like a stone, and I'm running far from home. Remind me who I am. Can you sing that part out? Remind me when I can't receive your love, afraid I'll never be enough. Remind me who I am. If I'm your beloved, can you help me believe it? Tell me once again who I am to you, how I am to you. Oh, tell me lest I forget who I am to you. I belong to you. Well, I hope that if there's one thing that you're feeling this morning, it's that there are people who are here, that you're held and loved and shown that deeper love that surrounds us. And that does something. I hope that does something for each of us today. Zach, you want to take a couple deep breaths in. Let yourself be here. Feel free to move your body as you need to. You can sit or stand or just be present. This song is called "Open Up," and I think it's both our sweet reality and our challenge here, as we're held by each other and that deeper reality surrounding us. We're called to open up. You heard the cry of our hearts. And you came down. Freely you gave us your love. Showing us how. Make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is darkness, let me shine light. And may your love cause us to open up, cause us to open up our hearts. May your light cause us to shine so bright that we bring hope into the dark. All that we do without love, it means nothing. Grant us the courage to give. As you're calling this out, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is darkness, let me shine light. And may your love cause us to open up, cause us to open up our hearts. May your light cause us to shine so bright that we bring hope into the dark. All right, here, what if you just sing "Hope for the Hopeless"? Hope for the hopeless, your love is strength in our weakness, strength in our weakness, your love is ahead and have a seat, please.
Okay. Good morning, Fabric. And I'm going to tell on myself, I've been practicing that at home because otherwise I would say second graders, and that's not who you are. So good morning, Fabric. Welcome. I'm glad you're here with me, so I'm not alone standing here doing this. If you're streaming, welcome to you. Kids, you're my favorite. Being a teacher, there's lots of things for you guys to do. And if you need the nest, I believe Jen is in the nest today, plus you can also stream in there, so grown-ups, you're still there. Let's see. We have a lot going on today, so I was told that I can't talk a lot, so here we go. Coffee, water, and luckily they haven't started construction on bathrooms, so bathrooms down the hall or gender neutral in the teacher's lounge. Kids, lots of fun things at the tables. I might be joining you later because it looks really fun to make those things that can, the clowns that can walk on the strings. Chris did a little breathing. I'm supposed to help you center. I don't know how to do that really. In class, when I was in my classroom, we did a lot with labyrinths, which you do have on your outline. If you wanted to use that with your pen, you could follow that, or with your finger, you could follow that, or you can just take a couple of breaths. And it's such a beautiful day today. Let's breathe in joy and breathe out uncertainty. Somewhere there's uncertainty. So let's breathe in some joy and breathe out some uncertainty. And one more time, let's do that. Breathe in the joy and breathe out the uncertainty. Hopefully you have your Sunday paper. There are announcements on there, as well as the back to follow along in case you get lost while Greg is speaking today. There are a couple of big announcements in here. For example, if your car is as dirty as mine was, hopefully was, when I got here this morning, they're washing cars today. So you could get your car washed, and it benefits the high schoolers for their trip. We also have a very special guest with us today. Our head of the ELCA Synod is here. She goes by, I think the title is Bishop, and Anne is here. Anne, I am not going to try your last name. I am very Scandinavian, but I'm an Olsen. And so, but Anne is here, so Anne, just do a little wave so people know where you are. Excellent, thank you. Anne will be leading a conversation afterwards to help us with our transition. And I think I got everything really fast because that's what they told me to do. So what I would like you to do while you're greeting someone else is, how about something you're looking forward to this summer since we're now in June? I'll give you a little teaser, 3 words, girls' road trip. Okay, if you want to know more, you're going to have to find me somewhere. Otherwise, stand up, greet someone around you, and what are you looking forward to this summer? Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Fabric. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you with us. I'm not sure I caught everything that Susan talked us through, but you probably did notice the room is different. They are doing a big construction project this summer, and so we are only going to be here this week and next week, and then we are out at the falls all summer while this is all under construction, and we'll come back and see what it looks like when we get back. It'll be different, not that different, but yeah. So one more week here. That'll be good to know. So good to have you all here today. You are all the kind of people that just do what you got to do, and I think that's just great. But today, right now, what we're really doing is we're not looking at just what you have to do, but like what you can do. We're all looking at what, not stopping there, but going beyond what might be convenient, going beyond what is, in particular today, what's comfortable, okay? So I'm just kind of wondering, what is the stuff that is kind of beyond comfortable for you in the world today or in your life and stuff like that? So if you've got your phone with you, you can pull it out. Most of you are probably familiar with this, menti.com. Oh, there you go. You can scan the QR code or put in those numbers. And by the way, if you're on the live stream, you can participate with this too. So on live stream, go to that. Just go to menti.com. I think if you use the QR code, it'll take you right to it. Otherwise, put in those 8 numbers. And just so you know, too, this doesn't, you're just on a website. It's not getting your email address or anything like that. You're not registering or downloading an app. You're just participating in something. So what it's going to do, it's going to ask you this question like, well, what is it that's just challenging your comfort zone? Your comfort zone being, this is the place I feel safe, secure, I know how to function, I know what's expected of me, I don't have to think too hard or do anything too hard. And it might be something in your personal life, it might be at home, it might be something at work. It could be societal stuff that's going on. It might be that cell phone that you're trying to operate right now. Who knows? If you're having trouble thinking of what those things are in your life, you might want to look at the stuff other people put up. Go to the next screen there. Boom. There. Now you can, there you go. What's challenging your comfort zone? As you start putting them in there, we'll start seeing what your answers are. Keep it in a couple words. If you see something up there that, oh, yeah, that, put it in again, because then as we repeat them, they get bigger and bigger, and we start seeing what are our comfort zone. I see all of you guys just have nothing challenging your comfort zones yet. 2198, I wrote, yeah, it's up on the back of your Sunday paper, too. 2198-5822. Are you in preview mode? Hit letter P.
No, it's here, Greg. I'm running it from here. Yeah. So, Menton Moat.
Don't.
Present.
Okay, best laid plans of mice and men. You can decide which of those two I am. This usually works so well for us. I know. I'm sorry. So we're going to see a word cloud of all the things that are pushing us out of our comfort zones. But I'll just let you use your imagination. Now, I really don't have the credentials to say all the things that are kind of pushing us out of our comfort zones today, how they compare to historically, what people have had to deal with. I do have a sense, though, that the stuff that's challenging our comfort zones today is very robust, okay? I don't know exactly how to complain. And in fact, I would say because of the rapid pace of technology, the change in technology, and then that drives our ability, for mobility, that we move around, and then we're exposed to so much. We get news from all over the world. We get ideas. We see people, people that used to be far away and exotic, and we maybe know from reading National Geographic that they're really different than us. That's fine because they're in National Geographic and they're in that continent far away. Now they're our neighbors. I mean, there's so many things that have changed that experience for us so that it's all, on top of us right now that, I just think it's really up the ante of squeezing down our comfort zones. And that's one of the things I'd say. Is I really do believe, and this is on your Sunday papers as an outline on the back of that if you want to follow along with that. But I really do think our comfort zones are shrinking and they're shifting. I think it's harder and harder today to find that happy place and stay in it than it has been, perhaps for who knows. And you know what most people do in that situation when their comfort zone gets squeezed down like that? Now, I'll admit this is me playing my armchair psychologist self, so you can argue with me on this, but I think it's probably a pretty safe bet. I think when our comfort zones get squeezed like this, we have a tendency to hold on all the more tightly to the comfort zone that we're in. I mean, we just get desperate because it's so hard out there. We build a wall around our comfort zones, and we turn our back to all the stuff that's changing, all the stuff that's threatening us out there, because we fear as soon as I leave my comfort zone, where am I? I'm going to be in my danger zone, right? I mean, that's the option. I'm either where I'm comfortable or I'm where I'm uncomfortable, and that's scary. Now, before I go too far down that road, I do have to acknowledge a pretty important exception. And that is there's a lot of people in our world who don't really have a choice. I mean, they don't really get an option to live in a comfort zone. I think of our neighbors that are African American, our black neighbors that live in a white dominant society and pretty much on a daily basis are forced, with no choice, but to live in what would be a danger zone. I think about women. I think about LGBTQ. I think of immigrants. Anyone who's in a marginalized status, they are forced a lot of times to just have to give up a comfort zone in order to function in society. Now, those are things that the dominant society has done to protect their comfort zones, right, at the expense of other people. And that's something that needs to be changed. And that's a big issue. That could be another message, but that's not where I want to talk about today. I want to talk about a comfort zone that anyone and everyone shares, no matter where you are in the world and what's going on in your life, just because of the very simple fact that change is hard. And we don't want to necessarily deal with it. So we retreat to our comfort zones. And when you feel something pushing you out of your comfort zone, all you can feel is that you are headed to an uncomfortable zone or a danger zone, and then anxiety spikes, all those warning lights go off, and you avoid that at all costs, right? And because we assume that anything outside of our comfort zones is bad, what do we tend to do? We tend to think that anything that pushes us out of our comfort zone, we don't like it. Anyone who pushes me out of my comfort zone, I don't like them, right? So, that's a problem. Now, for us as a community, as Fabric, the fact that something fundamentally is going to change as we look for a new lead pastor means all sorts of things. And one of those things is that it makes many people keenly aware of things that they had taken for granted. Suddenly things that you never even really thought about suddenly become really important. Often those are really more style or preference related, not substance or purpose. But just the fact that it's changing all of a sudden makes you aware of it, and you get a little edgy, you get a little bit worried. Yeah, it's a comfort zone issue. As individuals, if you are a parent, your kids are growing and changing, which requires constant recalibration, right? We finally figured out what our kids will eat, and now they won't eat it, right? I had this great relationship going with my middle schooler, and now they are going to high school, and my relationship is I'm an ATM and an Uber driver, and that's it. Or maybe it's at work, and the head office has decided that everyone needs to use this new software that's going to track their work and their efficiency. And you're thinking, this is nuts. What's wrong with what we've been doing it and how we've been doing it all along? This isn't helping me do my job at all. Yeah, we get pushed out of our comfort zones. So we're all constantly getting pushed out of those comfort zones. And so what are you going to do? Are you just going to react? Are you going to react out of the fear that you feel when you're getting pushed out of that? And you're either going to fight, or you're going to, flight, you're going to flee from it, or you're going to freeze and just pretend it's not happening? Or will you hit the pause button? Will you consider the possibility that life outside of my comfort zone may be not so bad, I just don't know it yet, right? And it may not only be somewhere I have to go, I need to go, but it might actually be somewhere that I want to go. Heidi, how about we do some slacklining here?
For today.
You were hoping I would ask, right?
Yeah, I'm Heidi Esposito, if I haven't met you yet, and I get the privilege of creating and leading things with all these wonderful small people that we have with us today. And today I asked a couple of volunteers to help me with this slacklining. So Naomi, if you would come down, and Shane, come down and join us. Perfect. All right, so I think Naomi, I texted your dad, and Shane, I gave you a text yesterday to say, hey, can you help us out with something during the message? We're going to be doing a little demonstration. And then at some point along the way, you discovered that this demonstration involved a slack line, right? So just out of curiosity, we're going to do fist to 5. Fist being, I would rather be at the dentist than do this. And 5 being, I'm so excited to try this. I actually had hoped we were going between skyscrapers. And anything in between you can do too, all right? Naomi, are you thinking? I'm doing it too because this was Greg's idea. Okay. All right. Shane, are you ready? You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, let's vote. Yeah, me too. Yeah, and Greg is saying he's a 4.
I don't think I get to go, but I'm a 4.
All right. Well, are you willing to give this a try? Okay. All right. Let's come over here. Hopefully you guys can all see us over here.
Kind of why we set up the room a little pushed to the side this week here.
All right. So we have our version of a slack line here. And I want you to, first of all, notice that it isn't between skyscrapers, right? It's only about maybe 3 feet off the ground, all right? Greg, can you maybe move those guys?
Is this right?
And I want you to know that we tested it out this morning. We had Ethan and Claudia on top of it. So we know it's strong, right? Okay. And I watched at least 3 YouTube videos, so I'm here to help you figure this out. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just do it with 1 foot, all right? And we're just going to put, because that's easier to balance, I learned. And another tip that I want to give you, you think you're going to want to look down at your feet, but that makes it harder for you to kind of keep your center of gravity on the slack line. So I want you to look at the post, okay? All right? And what else do you think might help you in this balancing gig? What do you have on your bodies that might help you? Right, arms. If you put your arms out, that also helps you to find your center of gravity, all right? And Greg and I are going to be here to help you at the first step. We're going to be sort of a thing for you to hang on to, all right? And you out there, you have a job too. We could use some encouragement over here, so, shout some things out, yeah, clap, all those good things to cheer us on a little bit. All right, who do you think wants to go first with this? Naomi, you want to go first?
Yeah, come on, Naomi.
You want to try it? Okay, all right. Woo! All right, so we're going to let you come up here. Let's just put, there you go. All right, and you can hang on to.
Yeah, we're not going to hold you.
Nice. Oh my gosh. She's an expert right off the bat. Nice.
Can you turn around? No.
All right, let's go to the middle and pause for a second and see if you can stretch your arms out. And yeah. Woo! Nice.
Try
all right,
it
let's
again.
go all the way to the end. And you can hold on or balance.
Or try to balance if you can.
Nice. ready to come down? Woo! You did great. All right, Shane. No pressure, but that was pretty awesome, huh?
So yeah, I'm
All
going
right.
now.
So we're going to try this just with one foot. And I'm going to come on this side. And
To get up.
up you go.
Just one foot?
Yeah.
I- All right, you go ahead. Put both feet. Why don't you turn
Yeah,
around
turn
so
around
they
a
can
little
see
bit.
your
There you
other
go.
side. Here.
Woo!
There. Try walking to the middle and then see if you can find some balance.
Look up. Yeah. Ah! All right. A round of applause for people that went out of their comfort zone this day. Nice job.
All right.
This will be set up if any people want to give it a try after the gathering.
In a supervised fashion, right? So, that slackline is really a good picture of what it takes to voluntarily, right, step out of your comfort zone onto something that you're not quite sure how to negotiate rather than involuntary. It's an example of choosing to do something, different, right? Now, what did Heidi give Naomi and Shane to help them step out on that slack line? To make being out of their comfort zone not an immediate step into a danger zone, to help them pry. If you look at the diagram that's on your Sunday paper, it's probably on the screen a little bit, to pry apart the comfort zone and the danger zone, right? So they're not just an immediate step from one to the other. First, she gave them some perspective, right? It's only a little bit off the ground, and made it clear you don't have to live on this. This is something to try. Don't worry if you don't do well. It's going to feel funny, right? You can grab on if you need to. She also not only gave them perspective, she also gave them some company. She gave them some people, right? So another person to try it with them. She gave you guys to cheer them on, to encourage them. She gave them myself and her to be there as the safety people to help them out if they needed it. Then she also gave them some tips. She gave them some practices, right? Like, put your arms out for balance and, grab on when you need to and look straight ahead and things like that. So some practices that would help them be more successful. Now, walking on a slack line, stepping out of our comfort zone is a squirrely, hard place to be, especially at first. It isn't terra firma, but it is kind of fun, right? It's kind of fun. You see, when you realize you don't have to react to be threatened by your comfort zone being taken away, and therefore, because that means you're going to step right into a danger zone for yourself, when you don't react that way, you can start prying those two things apart, and you can insert something totally new in between the two of them. You can put a growth zone in between. All right, so you can have your comfort zone, you have a growth zone, and then your danger zone is out there. And what you'll notice, your growth zone actually, as you get there, begins to expand your comfort zone, and it takes away from your danger zone, right? Stuff you were afraid of before suddenly becomes, maybe I can function here, because I've got what? The perspective, I've got the people, I've got the practices to do something with it. You and I can go beyond our comfort zones without ending up in a danger zone, and that's a really important thing for us to know. Now, to create some space between our comfort zones and danger zones in real life is hard. But those three elements that Heidi used to teach a slack line are the same ones that will help you and me put a growth zone, between them for ourselves. A place that will not only, like I said, whittle away at your danger zone, but it'll also grow the places that you feel comfortable and create a growth zone, a place of learning and adapting. So, up to last week, we were talking about this dangerous book, right? The Bible. We spent 6 weeks talking about this dangerous book. And one of the aspects that we focused on in this book were the big themes, the overarching, the red threads that run through the whole Bible and how we use those to interpret the individual stories and so on. rather than the other way around. And one of those big themes that you find when you start reading this book is what I would call, at least in terms of our language today, the road out. Right? The road out is one of the big ideas that the Bible wants to give us. In fact, the second book of the Bible, Exodus, is all about the road out. And in fact, the name Exodus literally means the road out, right? And the road out of, well, in terms of our language today, I would say it's the road out of your comfort zone. The road out of your comfort zone. Now, it isn't only a road out, of course, it's also a road to something. And that road to something would be a road to freedom. It's a road to freedom from being stuck. It's a road to being free to be the person you could be. It's a road to growth. Now, you may know the Bible well enough to know that this road out, the story of Exodus, is about the road out of slavery. And you say, well, hold it, slavery doesn't really sound like a comfort zone. So how is that a road out of a comfort zone if they were trying to escape from slavery? And I'd say, well, people, don't you? I mean, for something to be a comfort zone doesn't mean that I really like that this is my best place to be. Really, our comfort zones often are just places that we got used to. It's familiar. You know it. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know kind of thinking. And that's what was going on, because people just don't like change. And it's kind of funny. So once Israel finally escapes Egypt, they escape slavery, and they get out in the wilderness on their way to their promised land. It's only a matter of a very short period of time, and this one word keeps popping up like a refrain from a song over and over again. And the word translates as, well, my favorite translation is murmur. The people start murmuring. Some translations use grumble. Some use complain, which I think kind of misses the passive-aggressive side of it all. But they start complaining. And, as it turns out, being out in the wilderness, being out of your comfort zone is hard. It's like the slack line. Listen to these verses from Exodus. In the wilderness, the whole community, meaning all of Israel that came out into the wilderness, escaped from Egypt, the whole community grumbled against their leaders, Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by Yahweh's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of food and ate all we wanted. But you've brought us out into this desert to starve us all to death. I mean, it's a strange place when people say, oh, remember the good old days when we were slaves? I mean, how often do we do that? How often do we deify our comfort zones like that? So, we have to learn how to move across these sorts of things and figure out how to move beyond it, recognizing that growing hurts, it's hard, but if we want to escape those prisons of our comfort zones, we want to grow, it's something we need to learn to do. Now, if you remember those 3 Ps of perspective, people, and practices that pry your danger zone away from your comfort zone, you can start applying those to your own life. These are things that you can use this week, maybe talk about in your groups. What perspectives can help you see beyond your comfort zone? Maybe just the knowledge that life beyond my comfort zone maybe isn't so bad. Maybe that's really all you really need. Or maybe the realization that I am spending more energy trying to stay in my comfort zone, protecting myself from all the stuff out there, than it would require for me to adapt to that world out there. So that's perspectives. What about people? Who are the people who can help you live beyond your comfort zone? Who are the people who can guide you, who can support you, who can accompany you on that, so that you are able to do hard things? And then finally, what practices can help you safely claim parts of your danger zone as a growth zone? Practices. Last week, we talked about 3 of those practices, if you were here with us. We talked about going beyond what is expected of us, what is easy for us, what is convenient, or what we feel like. We talked about going beyond all those limits, those self-imposed limits, in terms of kindness, in terms of trust and in terms of thankfulness. Kindness, trust, thankfulness. 3 everyday acts, 3 everyday choices that we can make that can change our lives and the world. Now, I'm not offering those 3 as the 3, great practices that will create a growth zone for yourself, but just think about those and how we talked about it last week as great examples of how it might work in your life and just how many more practices like it there possibly could be. Take kindness, for example. All those people who threaten your comfort zone, they just rub you the wrong way. You'd rather not be around them. What would a daily dose of kindness towards those people look like? And what would the exercise of that daily dose of kindness do to you? And maybe your perspective, your feelings towards that other person, and maybe even your perception of that supposed danger zone that you feel that they're pulled you out of. How might you be able to see that through that kindness as an invitation rather than a threat? What about trust? If we had more trust in our world, my guess is we wouldn't have so many danger zones, right? Because we would trust what's out there. We would trust that people are with us. We would trust where the world is going. Some things, like climate change, political polarization, equity issues and things like that, these are society-wide. You can't change them. They're in your circle of concern that we talk about, but they're not in your circle of influence, so we feel helpless, and we feel like, how can I trust the world with all these things going on? It is true. These are not things that you alone can change, but you do have agency. Where can you make a difference, both in the world around you and in your own self, so that you can deal with the anxiety of living in a world where those things are going on? How can we begin to make those first steps of building trust? And then there are all these other sorts of personal things, like how can you offer your boss opportunities to prove that he is more trustworthy for you? Or, how can you perhaps let your kids know that you can trust me. I know you're going through a lot of stuff right now, and I'm here for you. Or kids, how can you help your parents see that you are trustworthy in the decisions and things that you are making right now? I think somehow when we begin to build trust with each other, we begin to dissolve the scary boundary that we feel exists between our comfort zones and our danger zones. Well, the last one we talked about last week was Thanksgiving or gratitude, and I don't think I hardly even need to mention how that can help us deal with our danger zones and defanging them for us. How can you, for instance, be thankful for the things that are safe, that are secure, that you're comfortable with without having to become overly dependent on them? How can you be thankful for your job and the other people that work with you and also accept the fact that things are going to change at work? They're not always going to be doing the things the way we are doing right now, and I'm not going to like some of that. Parents, how can you be thankful for your kids who are growing and learning to be the person that they need to become, at the same time you're losing the person that you had gotten used to and maybe you loved very much? And kids, how can you be thankful for your parents, who are trying to love you even though they don't quite get you, and even though they don't really give you credit for everything that you think you should be getting credit for right now? My question is, can gratitude help you accept things as an invitation to grow rather than as a threat to your comfort zone? So, comfort zones are important. We need a place to rest. We need a place to catch our breath. We need a place where we feel competent and we know how to do things. But they're cages when we let them become the limits of our lives, the only places we'll ever go. We need to grow. And to do that, we need some perspective, we need people, and we need some practices. Fabric is here and will always continue to be here. Not to maintain any status quo the way you think things have always been, to do what we always did the way we always did it. No, we aren't going to be here for that. but we are going to continue to be here as a place of growth. And you know, growth means change, and change means loss, and loss means pain, and pain is hard, but we can do hard things together, right? So, and this is on your outline at the bottom there. As Fabric, in order to do that, we promise to be a good blend of uncomfortable and comfortable for you. Because we all need a good mix of the two of those. And we will be with you, helping you to have the perspective of a three-stranded life that matters. We will promise to continue to be with you with people whom you can share, care, trust, and grow with. And we will be here with practices that will help you continue to learn how to deal with all that change in your life, not just in ways, that make it tolerable, but that make it possible and make it positive, make it good, that deep down kind of counterintuitive, but it makes sense kind of good. Fabric makes that promise for you. So I just want you to pause for a moment, just relax, step away from all the ideas, and just think about these comfort zones that we all need and we get stuck in, and they're really hard. My mind right now goes to people who are thrust out of their comfort zones with no help, and they are just stuck in danger zones where they do not have the ability to control it. There is no perspective that makes it okay. They're doing everything they can. They don't have the people they need. They're already doing everything they can to survive. I think of the people in civil war-torn Sudan. I think of the people still struggling in Syria and Ukraine. And I think about all the families impacted by the train wreck in India and places closer to home as well. And I think about our everyday comfort zones that we're being challenged with. Ones maybe that we should be or don't necessarily need to be, but we are. Whether they're big or whether they're small, it doesn't matter. We have to deal with them, and we need support. We need help. We need each other. I also think about our community, Fabric. As we step into an uncertain future, I hope that we will be able to choose and to see possibility and hope, not just the pain of transition. So let us weave our lives with one another and that which is, that calls us from our comfort zones and promises to be with us always. May it ever be so. Thank you. Band's got some music here, but you have these baskets here. Please put your communication cards. We'd love to hear from you. We really do take those seriously. We spend a lot of time with them. So prayer concerns, thoughts, ideas, questions, put them on in there. And if you have gifts, thank you. If you are a visitor here today, your presence is your gift, so thank you for that. Chris.
Yeah. All right, Chris, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and skip that one, and we're going to pop to the last one there. And if you would, I'd love for you to stand up and sing this together. Here's what I'd encourage you. Actually, let's see. Heidi, where are you? Can I see Heidi? Can you wave at me? Oh, we got some. Heidi has some shakers. If you don't have to be small to be grooving with those, but if you're a kid, you can go find Heidi, and she's got a shaker for you to make some noise too on this last one. Whether you're a kid or a grown-up, I would encourage you to take a look at your feet real quick. And do you have any hunch the likelihood of one or maybe both of those feet moving while we sing this song together? Do you think that's just going to be a natural thing that's going to happen? I have a hunch, just hanging out with you guys regularly, that you may not. And so this song is called Dare You to Move. And so I would encourage you to just, even if it's just a small thing, take a step forward, take a step to the side, whatever you got to do. I dare you. Welcome to the planet. Welcome to existence. Everyone's here. Everyone's here. Everybody's watching you now. Everybody waits for you now. What happens next? What happens next? I dare you to move. I dare you to move. I dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. I dare you to move. I dare you to move like today never happened. Today never happened before. Welcome to the fallout. Welcome to resistance. The tension is here. The tension is here between how you are and how you could be. Between how it is and how it should be. Yeah, I dare you to move. I dare you to move. Dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. Dare you to move. Dare you to move like today never happened. Today never happened. Maybe redemption has stories to tell. Maybe forgiveness is right where you fell. Where can you run to escape from yourself? Where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? Salvation is here. All right, here's another chance. Sing this out. Dare you to move. I dare you to move. I dare you to move. Dare you to lift yourself above the floor. Dare you to move. I dare you to move like today never happened. Today never happened. Today never happened. Today never happened before. Give those a big shake, all right. Yeah, nice work.
So yeah, feel free to have a seat, you guys. Yeah, thank you for being Fabric with us today. I want to welcome Bishop Ann Svenningsson to come on down here. So we got a little bit of a transition as she takes some time to talk to us about this transition that's going on. And
Is that okay?
oh yeah, definitely. If anybody needs to use restrooms, come and go. If you have to go, you will write your name down, but you can go. And there's water and stuff like that. So just, be comfortable, be here, and I'll just turn it over to you, Ann.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Is this okay? You can hear me okay? And I think about our Lutheran church in this country as we seek to become a more anti-racist, multicultural church. And, sir, that's hard to get much closer.
I'm just going to switch your mic.
Okay.
See, you could try to...
Oh, God. Idea to continue our lives. Where is the, as we sometimes say, growing edge? Where are we? So anyway, that was so cool. Thank you, Greg, for your message. Our congregations go from the north, Cambridge, Bram, to the south, New Prague, to the west, Buffalo, and Synod. And you are I loved reading this story of innovation. You recognize that at least half of your experiments will fail. And you've been around 17 years. That is, this is a significant transition, and I'm so excited that you have done such a good job in thinking about who you are. 8 to 10 or so. And I don't know if you've met together yet. No. So, times in a congregation, and I work hard to help us have wonderful, do kind of at the beginning of this, is these 13 pages try to summarize who you are, but I want to do just a little asset mapping and ask you. We ask better questions. That is right on there somewhere, right? Sort of.
Judd.
Think deeper, try and get to sort of the root of something rather than going to an easy answer.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I think curiosity. I love that word. I don't need just one word. Just something like a phrase that describes something you like about the church. Yeah, about Fabric. Weekly. Is it sometimes in person, sometimes Zoom? And I bet Zoom kind of opened up some possibilities before we, yeah. Yep, yeah. Great. So there's a kind of a. Right. Part-time. And who are the other three? Heidi, who prepares, what are the... Yeah. And... Okay, hi, Jen. What? It should be 6. So, oh yeah, you have other. You have 6 total. I see it. Okay, it's wonderful. Okay, back to getting to our 20. One of my favorite things about Luther's writings is the theology of the cross.
But she's not even. That.
Great, thank you. Any other children want to pipe up? We have the body whisked away and not that chance to accompany. Okay, sorry, I'm just getting carried away.
I got a mic up front here. I would say there's Bible on the messages of Jesus, but they really stretch out to a lot of those things. Very relevant.
How do you choose the topics?
I don't know.
Personal conversations, and then they have a team that puts together the themes, which is what I was going to say. Spend more time than 1 week on a topic. So,
okay. Did you? Okay. I was just going to add that another asset is the intentionality around staying away from traditional church terms, and it's very unique, and you can see that imprint through every single week, that we aren't just following a lectionary.
But
So, in fact, we're kind of skeptical of anyone that has answers. So it kind of goes along with the better questions, but we're not looking for answers.
What I need to do next. So I'm curious.
I think that's the better questions.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
The thing that we stress a lot is, in making decisions, how does it align to what your values are? And that can be a number of things, a question like that. We used to have other banners I've been here about 10 years, and the ones I remember, the brave uncertainty is probably my favorite, is that we don't we don't need to be certain about or tell someone this is what you believe,
Right.
but rather there's space like others have said. So that's my contribution.
Constantly weaving intentionally upon there, how that is into our life and how it even connects with things like today in the growth zone
And just being here today, recognizing how actually deeply held and thought about that is.
I'm going to just add that we take kids seriously.
Yes, you do.
And
Started coming as a single mom and not showered and exhausted, and someone was always there to hold my baby when I couldn't do it anymore. And now she's
Enjoy every Sunday. Led by Chris, who's so talented, and we're just fortunate to have a really group of talented people here. Zach.
Churches is that music that uses the instruments that you use is 95% of the time filled with platitudes. And you.
And so, yeah, I was going to pass, but I appreciate the way you weave in the message. It's not just grabbing songs that are fun, which they are, but it's like they actually tie into the the month.
We do have a time where we gather around a table together with bread and wine and juice, and so yes.
But what happens now that you have a search team in place is that this becomes available to people in the larger community, your ministry site profile, and the names of candidates who would potentially be interviewed by your search team the names are elicited in 3 ways, okay? And the first one I want to really emphasize here while you're listening, and that is you as a congregation, as a community, and individuals in it can make suggestions and recommendations. And I would encourage your search team to put together some way for you to be able to do that. Now, it's really important that you don't call the person you're wanting to ask and say, hey, you want to come to be at Fabric? Because that does not help the sort of community of the larger church. We don't really, we're not free agents as people who are deacons and pastors. We respect in some way the needs of the whole church. So if you have ideas, or if you know a pastor or someone else that you think, I don't want to ask them to be interested in this, but I could ask them, who do they know? Who do you know that might be? Just so long as you don't make the call and say, hey, to the person you want to invite. So the search team can put out information and ask you to submit names and suggestions. The second way, once this goes public, the candidates around the whole church that might think this would be a wonderful call can share their names with the bishop of that synod, that area. So they can let me know, let our team know at the synod office. And then the third way, and this is probably the most vibrant way, is that we have been thinking about Fabric for months and months. I mean, as Greg has been getting older, we've been thinking, okay, there'll be a transition sometime. Who could we imagine being a wonderful fit for this congregation? We often talk of ourselves as talent scouts for Jesus, really working, that's not church language, but it's also kind of stupid language, but whatever, talent scouts for Jesus. Really believing very, very strongly that leadership matters, and who serve as leaders in congregations. We really want to find faithful, gifted, intelligent, questioning, deep people to serve as pastors. So those 3 ways, candidates nominating themselves, you making some suggestions to your search team, and the staff at the Synod office coming up with names, are where we start. And then this is where it's a little different than Target or other employers. If that list that you give me, or the list that we have, includes people from other areas of the church, we try to let the bishop of that area know that we want to contact this person. So if you recommend someone from Denver, Colorado, then I'll call my colleague Jim Gonya and say, any reason I can't call so-and-so to come and interview or be part of the process at Conversation at Fabric. And the only times that we as bishops say no is if the person's been somewhere fewer than 3 years, because you don't want to go through this again in 3 years, right? And you probably don't want to make another church have to go through this in fewer than 3 years. And if there's something problematic about the candidate, and you don't want that either. So it's almost always the case that if I ask Jim Gonya, he says, sure, contact this person. And then we, with your suggestions, with our suggestions, we try to come up with the best list of 6 to 8 candidates. We don't want to be gatekeepers. We don't want to, stop the flow. We just want to make sure we bring 6 to 8 people that we could really imagine at Fabric. And you know yourselves, not every pastor in the ELCA could you imagine at Fabric, right? So, but I do want to say, if the search team sees a list of candidates that you have recommended and says, why is this person not on the list? Someone in our community recommended them. Then we'll usually be able to say why, and it will make sense. Or if we say, well, that was a judgment call on our part, we'll reach out to them, and we'll follow up again with them. And then sometimes they say no, they're not interested in moving from Denver. I don't know, why wouldn't they want to come to Minnesota? Anyway, so any questions about this? This is not your average, hiring process. It's a little complicated. Yeah. That's a really good question. Can you hire someone who's not ordained? They don't need to be ordained in the Lutheran Church. It could be Episcopal, UCC, Methodist, Presbyterian, Moravian. We have full communion with 7 other denominations. They would need to be on a journey to become ordained. And even that would be a little bit of a challenge, but that's possible. That's to be part of the ELCA, yeah, you pretty much. Now, if you were in Western North Dakota, you might have a synodically authorized minister because there are just no pastors going out there. Here it's a little harder for us to say there's nobody, but that's something to talk about with Craig as you're looking at people. Craig Peterson, who will meet with your search team. Another question? I think I saw someone. Where are you? There you are, I'm sorry. You even turned on the lights for me, thank you, but I still, yeah. How does this unique style of the church complicate our decision? I think there might be fewer candidates just who have imagined this as a call for them. That will be a complicating factor. But I think there are also candidates who will jump at this. Other questions about the process? All right, well, oh, yes. Can you be public? Yeah, I guess you could say, what a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked it. My congregation is looking for a new pastor. At that point, though, I would want you to say, message me if you have an idea, not like put this all across the world that, you know. You don't know who you don't know, that's right, right. Yeah. No, I think the 64 other bishops, if they saw that on social media there were 50 posts asking all people across the world to give ideas of pastors to Fabric, they might not be happy with me. Now, I'm retiring in a year too, so who cares? No, I do care. No, I didn't say that. I think one of the things that and this is the weirdest thing, we are the largest synod in the whole ELCA. And so I think it's really important that we play by the rules, that we don't just use our bigness to say, you know, we'll do things our way. So that's important to me. But I think in private things or a private message, that'd be all fine. Other questions? Yes? Right. Yes, and that's an important thing because that means you're also open to an LGBTQIA candidate. Okay. And open perhaps to a full communion partner, like Methodist. Yeah, what's that? Thank you. We have relationships where pastors can go from one denomination to the other with Methodist, Presbyterians, Episcopal, UCC, Moravian, something else. Anyway, Methodist. UK, yeah, right. I have a little bit of that. So,
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please.
Why do you think we should remain ELCA? What does ELCA add to being Fabric?
How much time do you have? I think that the ELCA understanding of the good news, the gospel, the first song we sang, that it is God's love, that is the first and last word in our life. I think it is, from my experience, the clearest articulation of that. And I really, for Luther, it is, what makes the church is this good news of God's unconditional, radical, inclusive, expansive love. And I think it's a very hard message to keep central. But it's the message that lets you laugh and gives you, freedom to go into brave uncertainty, And so I think the ELCA, for instance, is doing more on anti-racism perhaps than any denomination. And part of that is we are freed by the gospel to lean into what makes us uncomfortable, makes us work hard. We are free to lean into the work for justice. We spent a lot of time this spring at the legislature advocating for Restore the Vote, driver's license for undocumented people. And we do that because we are call to love the neighbor, and the gospel sets us free to engage with courage and bravery. So I think my sense, even from the sermon we heard today, the message we heard today, is these words are deeply grounded in that incredible gospel word of God's love, God's initiative, God's creating a relationship with us that will never, never let us go. So I guess I see alignment. I hope he didn't leave because of what I was saying. He got his child, yes. So, yeah. Now, I want to say one more thing. I don't know how long you expected to stay here. Pardon? Quarter after. Good. Thanks. So there you are. You were kind of hiding, Greg. Yeah. On purpose. I could kind of, yes. So I think a theme thing for one of your things could be that unspoken expectations lead to resentments. That's not really that great of a theme. But that's what I'm going to talk about right now, and that's that I need for you to hear that this process takes time. And so one of the questions is often, how soon can you get someone for us, you know? And so part of my description of the process is to say, first of all, we have these 3 streams of ways to gather names. Second of all, we contact first the bishop, then the person who we'd like to invite to consider it. Then we wait for them to call us back. You know how all of this takes. And at that point, we come with names to you. Now, thankfully, you've got some time before Pastor, do you even call it Pastor Greg? Okay, no, Greg. You got some time before Greg's retirement. And so you may not be as frustrated with that it takes a while. But so then we bring names. You decide. They've all written papers just like this one, like yours, about themselves. And you decide which ones you want to interview. You interview. You decide if you like any of them. And if you don't, we go back to the drawing board. And we take as much time as we need to take because it's so important that this is what you, God, and this person discern is the call. And I encourage call committees, search teams to go listen to people speak. And I want to say one thing. We can do it all on Zoom, but I encourage you not to do it all on Zoom. When I got my second call, a person from Minneapolis came and listened to me preach in Iowa City and said, you know, I liked your sermon, but I really liked the people's engagement with you. And so you can see a whole lot about a person in the midst, like I could notice today, right? So I encourage you to do that. Be discreet. Don't just all come and sit in the front row as a search team or whatever. But take the time, do the work that will help you discern. Any other thoughts or questions? Yes? There's energy. There's not, oh, right, this was another asset. Yes. You won't fall asleep at this church. There's energy. It's wonderful. When you get up in the morning and you say to your kids, it's time to go to Fabric, what's the normal response? Okay. Not every day, I would probably imagine, but yeah. So there's energy. Good. Pardon? My kid gets, yeah, oh, I see, good. I think you should put that on your poster. My kid gets, all right, any other things we should address? Yes? Well, I think I would want probably pretty soon to have Craig come and do a more deeper orientation with you. So, and I don't know if I'd reach out to Craig. Oh, yes, so you've got to make a switch. Norma's actually taking a job in Chicago. So, yeah. Do you want me to have... Okay, make it reach out to Craig tomorrow and see what you can come up with. Yeah, it's kind of helpful just to have the orientation for, there's a checklist and stuff like that. I don't get into that. I just kind of want to know who you are. And this has been an extraordinary deep dive into this community. And would it be okay if I closed with a word of prayer? All right. Gracious God, we thank you for this community. We thank you for how your Holy Spirit has been at work these 17 years, all of the ways that you have knit together this people and are weaving together in each of their lives these threads of you and our true self and our neighbor. Continue to bless this community. We pray especially this day for those candidates that you would nudge to be a part of this process, that your Spirit would be at work in the lives of leaders and in the work of the call committee and the whole community of Fabric, that you would bless and guide them and fill this process with your Spirit. Thank you for the gift of this day, for each of our lives, and thank you as we each lean into comfort, discomfort, growth, and sense your presence holding us every step of the way. We pray together. Amen. All right, thank you for the time together. Appreciate it.